I talked to a lot of hirees who just got the raise, the promotion number that they think would fix everything, and somehow they feel more stuck than before. You can't just quit. You can't slow down. You can't even enjoy it, if I have to be honest. I want to be clear. That feeling is in your head. There's nothing wrong with you. That feeling has a name, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. We call this golden handcuffs. The income goes up, but instead of freedom, you're buying lifestyle. And now that freedom needs to keep funded. From the outside, it looks like you're winning, but from the inside, it feels like you have a leash that's getting longer, not shorter. I've sat across the table from people making more money than they ever imagined when they first started out, and they're telling me how they feel less free now than what they did 5 years ago. That's not a coincidence. That's the pattern showing up right on schedule. This term comes from corporate compensation work. Companies would structure bonuses and stock vesting schedules specifically so employees couldn't afford to leave, even if they wanted to. The company benefits from that arrangement, but here's what I want to point out. Most people are doing this to themselves without the company forcing their hand. The lifestyle itself becomes the handcuffs. No employer needed. And it doesn't discriminate by income either. I've seen this show up with someone making $120,000 a year just as clear as someone making $500,000 a year. The dollar amount changes, but the pattern doesn't. Here's how it starts. The raise comes in, and pretty quickly the spending finds a way to catch up. A nicer apartment, a nicer car, more dinners out because you've earned it, or maybe because it's been a long week. Let me give you an example. Say someone, let's call them markets, gets a $40,000 raise 1 year after promotion. Great outcome on paper, but within 8 months, almost all of it is gone. Not because of one big purchase, but because of the dozen small ones that each feel justified on its own. A better apartment closer to work. A car upgrade because the old one starts feeling embarrassing next to the new coworkers. A gym membership at a nicer place. Takeout instead of cooking because after a 12-hour long day, who has the energy to cook? None of it feels reckless in the moment. Each decision on its own feels reasonable. That's actually what makes this so hard to catch. It's not one bad choice. It's small choices that add up to the same fixed cost. And this ends up eating the same percentage of income as before the raise ever happened. So by the time Marcus sits down and looks down at the numbers, the saving rate hasn't moved. It hasn't gone down, nor has it gone up. It stayed flat, despite a $40,000 raise. He looks up and says, I make more than I ever thought I would, so why do I feel like I have nothing to show for it? That gap everyone is hoping for between what's coming in and what's available to build wealth with, it never gets wider unless someone makes it wider on purpose. It doesn't happen automatically. That's the part almost no one tells you. Humans adjust whatever their new normal is faster than they expect. The nicer apartment feels exciting for about a month and then just becomes the baseline. The upgrade stops delivering happiness almost as fast as it starts costing money. I bring this up because I don't want anybody watching this to feel guilty. Guilt doesn't fix a spending problem. Awareness does. Once a life is built around the new number, walking away from it really isn't an option anymore. Let's say someone, we'll call her Diana, is director making very good money, and she tells you flat out that she hates her job. Not in a dramatic way, she's just tired of the politics, tired of the hours, tired of the boss who takes credit for her work. Ask her what keeps her there, and she'll say her mortgage, the car payments, her daughter's private school tuition. Every fixed cost in her life gets built around a specific paycheck, at the specific job, in that specific role. She's not staying because she loves the job. She's staying because she's built a life that needs that paycheck to keep running. And any disruption to that means unwinding the piece of life that she and her family has already built and settled down into. Now that's the trap. It's not that people love the grind. Most of them don't. It's the golden handcuffs that get bolted on one reasonable decision at a time. And by the time someone notices, the cost of walking away feels too high to even consider. The job that isn't serving them anymore becomes a job that they can't leave. And that's very different kind of stuck than just being broke. What makes a story like Diana hard to see coming is because every individual decision, the home, the school, the car, gets made carefully. She's not reckless with her money. She's doing everything right by the standard playbook, but nobody has ever asked her to weigh those decisions against a specific number for flexibility. No one sit down with her and say, if the option to leave a job within 2 years, what will be the fixed costs they need to look at? So she builds her life the way most people do, one decision after another, without ever stepping back to ask what all these decisions added up to together. That's using the missing piece, not bad decision, missing context around what decision add up to. There's a quieter piece to this. The people around us, our coworkers, friends, whoever we measure ourselves up to against, they're moving up right along with us. Picture one example, let's call him James. He crawls into the top of his income bracket for the first time in his career, something he's been working for decades. You expect him to be very happy and proud. Instead, this sounds more deflated for him. Two of his closest friends from college just closed on a house in a neighborhood that he can't afford quite yet. And it makes him feel like his accomplishment is smaller than what it is. And that's moving the goalpost. Even with the number getting bigger, it never feels quite enough because the comparison point isn't fixed. It moves right along us. And that definition of enough is being set by whoever's closest to us instead of by our own goals. The finish line will always be just out of reach, no matter how much income grows. This is just a math problem, it's a psychology problem. I felt a version of this myself. Watching someone else highlight reel, whether that's a coworker's new home or a friend's taking vacation photos and quietly recalculating whether we're behind. That's a very human thing to do. It doesn't mean something's wrong with us. It means that the comparison is doing exactly what it's meant to do, still a win out of an actual accomplishment. The people who eventually break out of this aren't the ones who stop noticing what others have. They're the ones who get it specifically enough about their own goals that the comparison starts to make or matter less. If Jane built out what enough actually looked like for his own family, tied to his own number instead of his friends' homes, that conversation with his friends stopped carrying the same weight. Not because he stopped caring about them, but because his own definition of success finally has more detail than theirs does. Here's the part most people miss. The fix isn't earning more. I've seen this proven over and over again at every income level. Income goes up and the stuck feeling stays right along where it is. Because more income without a plan just means a bigger version of the exact same pattern. The fix is deciding on purpose what a raise actually is for before it ever hits the account. Now let's go back to Marcus. Once the pattern is visible, the plan is simple on paper, even if it takes disciplines to follow. Set up an automatic transfer so a fixed percentage of every future raise moves straight into the investments before he ever sees it in his checking account. Not all of it, he still gets to enjoy some of the increases. That matters too, just enough that his saving rate can actually climb instead of staying still. Diana, the conversations look different. It's not about cutting costs first, it's about naming what she actually wants, which turns out to be the option to leave that job within 18 months without blowing up the family stability. Once that goal has a name and a number attached to it, a plan gets built around protecting it. Flexibility and exit date, whatever it is, with the real dollar and a real plan built around protecting it instead of around whatever the current income happens to be. Because the version of someone who keeps more of each raise, that's the version who actually gets to leave the job that stops serving them. That's the real prize right there, not the number on the paycheck. The freedom to walk away from anything that doesn't fit or serve you anymore on your own terms or on your own timeline. Imagine Marcus about 14 months into automatically raising his savings. His saving rate's more than double from where it started. He still enjoys life. He doesn't move into a studio apartment and starts eating rice and beans every night, but the increase now builds his future instead of just funding a slightly nicer version of the same routine. Imagine Diana giving her notice 4 months in. She's now at a smaller company, making a little bit less money than before, but it's the first time in years that she feels like she's choosing her life instead of just managing it. The trade-off only comes because the numbers got built around her actual goals well before she needed to make a decision. If she waits until she's completely burnt out to start planning, the options are far more limited. That's really the point of all this. Golden handcuffs aren't permanent. There's a pattern, and that pattern can be disrupted the moment someone decides to interrupt them on purpose, instead of letting the next raise just quietly disappear into the same routine as the last one. If that sounds familiar, making good money but feeling more boxed in than free, I want you to hear this. That's not a personal failure. That's a predictable pattern, and it's one that you can build your way out of. At PLC Wealth Partners, that's exactly the kind of work that we do, helping high earners turn income into the actual freedom instead of just a bigger version of the same trap. So go build your life with purpose and with intention. Thank you.